Hi there, Alex Ward with Automate My Co here. I can't tell you how many times I filled out a contact form on a company's website and I never heard back. No confirmation, no reply, nothing at all. And every time this happens, I think the same thing. How much potential business is this company missing out on by not replying to their contact form inquiries? Your contact form is not just a simple box on your website. It's your first sales system. It's your first trust signal. It's your first chance at making a great impression with potential and current customers. And it can be your structured intake process. If your contact form is not automated properly, you're either missing leads, responding way too slowly, or you're drowning in spam email because you're putting your email address on your website instead of a structured contact form. In this video, I'll show you how to set up a smart contact form system that filters for spam with AI, logs every inquiry into a structured database, sends an instant professional thank you email, drafts an email response from you automatically, alerts you internally, and makes sure no lead ever slips through the cracks again. You can build this entire system in Zapier within an hour. And if you fill the form out below this video, I'll send you a free PDF guide that walks through every step, including all of the AI prompts I use. And if you'd rather not build it out yourself, I'll set it up for you for free. In the same form, go ahead and let me know that you want to set up a free strategy call. All right, here's what you'll need. You'll need Zapier, which is the automation platform we'll be using, Gmail or Outlook, depending on which one you use, Google Docs, MS SharePoint, or another similar service. And if you use it, Slack or another messaging service of your choice to receive internal notifications. First, we're going to build the form using Zapier Forms. So we'll start with a blank form. And we'll add these text fields. We're going to keep it nice and simple. Simple forms reduce friction, improve completion rate, and give you better quality data. So we'll start with first name, last name, email. Notice I'm making these all required. Phone number, I would leave optional. So phone number, we can leave required unchecked. Now I'm also going to add a reason for contacting dropdown. So if your company works with different cohorts, such as vendors, employees, and customers, different cohorts that may be contacting you, it's not a bad idea to have a dropdown like this so that you can have custom rules later on in the automation for each cohort. Let's just do employment, partnerships, ordering, and we can do other. Okay. Now, completely optional, but what I'm going to do here is if they select partnerships, then it's going to ask for their company. And the way I'll do that is I created this company field, click logic, add condition. Reason for contacting is exactly partnerships. Okay, so that company field will only show up if they select reason for contacting is partnerships. And then we'll do a long text field for message. And that's really all you need. So now we'll submit a test form. As you see, I intentionally left my first, last, and email not formatted in the best way, but you'll see why in the next steps. All right, we're going to go back here and click Automate Form. Build your own automation. And this opens the Zap editor. Now in Zapier, a Zap is an automation workflow. So as you can see, it started out here with a trigger step, form submission created. Now we'll test the trigger. You can see that that test form that I submitted came through in the test data. Now I like to go through and rename these steps. So new inquiry. It's really up to you. But now we turn your form into a lead handling machine. So let's take another look at that test data. So as you can see, the first and last name are all lowercase and the email has a capital letter. So first what we'll do is we'll adjust the formatting for all three of those fields. We're going to use a title case, an input, first name here, and as you can see, it capitalized the first letter of the name, which looks much better. So we're going to go ahead and just duplicate that. Make this for the last name. And then we're going to go in and change out that variable. Retest step. Great. Reformatted my last name. And then we'll do the email. And for the email, we'll reformat it to all lowercase. Okay, so these three steps will just make sure that your data is consistent across multiple form submissions. Our next step will be an AI by Zapier step that's going to allow us to filter for any spam. So this is the AI by Zapier editor. We're going to add the message first. So message, we'll input the message here, okay? So now the AI step will be able to reference that. I've gone ahead and copy and pasted this prompt into here for the sake of time, but you can see here, you are a spam detection assistant for website contact forms. Your task is to classify whether the provided message is spam. Classify as spam if it contains irrelevant promotional content, etc. Classify as not spam if it is a legitimate inquiry, etc. If it is spam, return true, otherwise return false. And for our output field, we will do a Boolean value, which means true or false. And for the field description, let's just go ahead. Let's just go ahead and do the same thing here. All right, make that output field required, hit save. Now we're going to generate a preview. So what it will do is it will analyze the message based off this prompt and determine if it thinks it's spam. So let's generate that preview. Okay, great. So it did not classify it as spam, which is what we wanted. All right. Let's rename that, check for spam. Okay, we're going to do another AI by Zapier step. So sometimes when people submit contact forms, they might misspell their email address. And there are common misspellings, such as putting C-O-N instead of C-O-M for gmail.com, for example. Or somebody may misspell Gmail, Yahoo, and so on. So we want to catch those before we send an automated thank you email. Otherwise, it'll bounce. So what we'll do here is we'll input the email and the name, because sometimes we can find those errors if they misspell their name in the email address. Okay, once again, I copy and pasted a prompt in here for the sake of time. You can see here, you are an email validation assistant. Your job is to detect obvious misspellings in email domains and suggest a correction only when highly confident. We have some rules, common domains to check for, and then some examples. All right, if no typo is found, return the original email, output email with the original or fixed email address. So as you can guess, our output field will be email. Our field type, we can go ahead and put email. Now let's see what it does. Okay, so it didn't find any errors in the email address that I had put, which is also what we wanted. Next, we're going to start creating a lean database in Zapier tables. So I've created here a table that's going to be our contacts list. If you don't already have a CRM, this is a great option for a very simple CRM where you can keep track of past contact form inquiries. So you can see the fields I have here. And if you need to add a field, you just go up here, click Add Field, and they have a whole bunch of options. Okay, we're back at the Zap. What we're going to do is we're going to find records, and this will allow us to deduplicate any repeated contacts. So we'll find the record in the contacts table. We're going to find it by email. If email is exactly email, and remember, we're going to use that last step, which checked for any email misspellings. We're going to create a Zapier table record if it doesn't exist yet. So once again, that'll deduplicate any contacts that have already messaged us. So the name, we're going to go ahead and just put first and last name together. Email. Phone. Outreach date is going to be the created at date and time of the form, submission rather. Source is contact form. And if we go back into the table, we can add multiple different sources. So if you decided to use this table for multiple lead sources, such as Facebook ads or chatbot, then you could add multiple options here. The message. Okay, now this is going to be this output here. It was not found as spam. All right, and then we have this notes field, which I made just in case you have any internal notes on the contact or the message. And then this thread field is going to come into play in a few more steps. All right, let's go ahead and test it. If we go back to the table, you can see that it imported the response here. Another thing I added was a view for spam. And the way I did that is I have these filters. So it's filtering if spam is false, it'll leave the record in the main table. And then if spam is true, it'll add that to the spam view. So if we click true, you can see it disappeared from the main table because it did not meet the conditions, but it did meet the conditions for the spam view. So we'll just go ahead and uncheck that. And if you did want to add an extra view, you would just click new view there. Back of the Zap, we'll rename this. So we're going to go ahead and branch. If it is spam, we're going to do this. So if it's spam, that means that this returned true. And I would recommend, this is completely optional, but I would recommend adding a delay for 1 week. So the record will be added to the table, and then 1 week later, we're going to delete the record. So that gives you 1 week of leeway if you want to check your table for any spam messages. Just in case the AI had a false positive, you can go in to this table and you'll check the spam view for any messages. Hey, I wanted to pause the tutorial real quick because after filming, I realized I made a small mistake here. If we wait 1 week and delete the spam, then it's great if it actually was spam. But if we were to go into the table and see that a submission was not spam and we unchecked it, okay, bringing it to the main table, this step would not realize that and it would still delete the record. So we need to add a couple more steps here. Okay, so after 1 week, we're going to find the record again. And filter for record ID is exactly. So we're just finding the same record. And then we can do another filter where spam is exactly true. All right. So that means that if the spam was unchecked, that it won't find the record. And we also want to make sure that this is set to true, because otherwise, if it's not found, then you'll get an error. So let's test that. All right. Check record status. And then to continue, we want it to find that there was still the record in there. So we're just going to do zap search was found is true. So for the remainder of the video, this side is going to look a little bit different, but just know this is the correct way for this path. All right, back to the walkthrough. All right, so anything that's not spam will go down this path. And we'll go ahead and do fallback, which means if it doesn't meet these conditions, it'll go down this path. Now, remember in the form, we had that dropdown that said reason for contacting. This is an optional step if you want to add a little bit more sophistication. We're going to add a lookup table. Reason for contacting. Partnerships. Employment. Or ordering. So this will allow us to customize the messaging in the thank you email that gets sent out automatically. So for partnerships, we can do something like, we love partnering with amazing companies. Employment, we love working with amazing people. And then ordering, we love getting to serve amazing customers. Obviously, I've simplified this quite a bit, but you could add your own messaging for that little bit of customization. Also, since we had that other option in here, the fallback value could be something like, we'd love to serve you. So that'll work for anything besides these three. We'll go ahead and test. It output, we love partnering with amazing companies. Next, we're going to have it send an automated thank you email. So this alone makes businesses look far more professional. An immediate response sets expectations for the customer, builds trust, and also confirms that the submission worked for them. Now, I should note, it's a good idea to use an email account that you've had for a while or that's warmed up so that it has less of a chance of landing in spam. I'm going to go into Gmail and create a label to keep us organized. So contact form. And then under contact form, I'll create a sublabel, thank you emails. Then we'll go back to the Zap and we'll create a Gmail step that sends the email. And if you use Outlook too, Zapier has an Outlook integration. So it'll be a very similar process. So the to field will be the email account here. From name, I'm just going to do test company. Subject, thank you for your message. We'll do HTML, add a signature. And then for the label there, we'll select thank you emails so that it gets saved under that label. And then for the email body, we'll do something like hi, first name. Remember, reformatted. And then these BR brackets, those are line breaks. So 2 line breaks. Thank you for your message. And then if you'd like, you can add that customization here. So in this case, it'd be, we love partnering with amazing companies. This is an automated email letting you know we're on it, and somebody will reach out shortly. Thanks so much. Test company. Okay. So let's test that step. And if we go back here to Gmail, you can see it's sent and it saved it in thank you emails. Okay, so next we're going to grab this URL, go back to our Zap. We're going to save the link to the email in the record. So we'll update the record. So I'm just taking that record ID here. URL for the thread is that, and then the variable that we're importing is the thread ID. And then for the label, you can put really anything. For now, we'll just put an X. Test step. And if we go back to the table, you can see that it added that link. So if we click through the link, it takes us straight to the email. So this is great for organization and making sure that we're staying on top of every inquiry that comes in. Now what we'll do is we'll do a third AI by Zapier step. And we're going to have it draft an email response from us. So we'll import the message. And once again, I've copy and pasted a prompt into here for the sake of time. You are assisting a business owner in replying to a website contact form inquiry. Your task is to draft a clear professional email response written from the perspective of the business owner. So I should note that we're only going to have it write the body of the email, not the opening or the closing. Email body, and that'll be text, and it's required. Let's see what it outputs. Thank you for reaching out and expressing interest in partnering with us for automation services. We'd be happy to discuss this further. I have availability next week for a discovery call and would love to know which days and times work best for you. Looking forward to your response. Okay, it's pretty decent. I think we could adjust it slightly, but it really all depends on how you want to customize it for your business. We can also add a knowledge source here, and we're going to do a Google Doc. Okay, so I have this FAQs document, and this document we can add frequently asked questions and answers that the AI can reference to best answer future questions. So for example, how do your partnerships work? We'll do question, answer. We work on a project basis. Something like that. So you could add as many Q&A pairs as you want so that the AI can be trained on your own Q&A data. Now we're going to create a draft reply. And it'll be in the same thread as the email that we sent. It'll be to the email address from the same email account, company team, HTML, we'll input the email body there. And we'll add it to the same label. Or rather, let's put it in the contact form. Let's put it in a separate label so that we have all the replies all together. All right, so if we go back to Gmail, we can go to contact form, and yes, we can see that it created the draft. Let's see what it looks like. Hi, Alex. Thank you for reaching out, expressing interest in partnering with us for automation services, etc. Okay, I'd say it looks pretty good. We can always make it a little bit better with some better AI prompting that's customized to your business. So once again, you can update that FAQ doc and also the actual prompt so that it fits your business better. So it's not a bad idea to include information about your business in here so that it can write the best draft possible and save you the most time. When we send the automated thank you email and create the draft reply, we need to create an internal notification for ourselves to know that there's a new contact form inquiry. So it really depends on what your tech stack is. You may use Slack or Telegram or another messaging app. You just want to check that it integrates with Zapier or has an API. But for this example, I'll be using Zapier's built-in email app to send a no reply email. So we'll send an outbound email and it'll be to, remember, it's an internal email. So you're going to send it to your own email address. And the subject can be something like new contact form inquiry. And for the body, what we're going to do is we're hyperlinking to the contact record. So to grab that URL, you open the record like that. Okay, so that expand icon. Then copy the URL up there. Close that bracket out. And then you can put really anything in this hyperlink here, but I'm going to put the name of the person writing in. Couple line breaks. Then the message. A couple more line breaks. Then I'm going to do another hyperlink, and this time it'll be to the response. Okay, so I just copy and pasted the URL directly to that email that we have the reply waiting for us. And we'll add the thread ID. And we can just put something like reply. And the from name, we can do something like contact form. Otherwise, it'll just generate a random string. All right, let's test that step. Okay, so this is what the contact form email looks like. You can see there's the name hyperlinked. So let's just test that. All right, so it pulled up the record ID. Great. This is the message that the person writing in sent. And then if we hit reply, it'll take us directly to the first message that was sent and then the reply draft. So we can update this draft however we'd like. So thank you for reaching out and expressing interest in partnering with us for automation services. We'd be happy to discuss this further. I have availability, let's say, this week for a discovery call, and would love to know which days and times work best for you. I'm most available in the morning. Yeah, we can just update it, something like that, and then send. Now, we'll do a final step here. Remember when we found or created the contact record? So whenever somebody writes in again, it's going to deduplicate that, but it's not going to update the message. So it's a good idea for us to update the message if they write in twice with a different message. There's, I'd say, 2 ways of doing this. So one, we could either replace the message, or we could do something like message number 2. We could do something like have this be a rolling list of messages that they've sent in. We're going back up here right after find or add contact message. We will update record, contacts, the record ID, and that's the record ID of the table record that it found or created. So it'll be the same for both instances. And the message. Okay, so that'll replace the message. If we wanted it to have a rolling list of messages, what we can do is add the message from this step. Like that, okay? So what that would do is it would add the new message and then keep the old messages below it. And then every time they write in, it'll just keep adding on to this list. And then if you wanted to, you could add timestamps. So you could do like create at date or time. All right. I'm just going to rename this Zap contact form, and we're going to publish. Now that we have the contact form automating into our database, checking for spam, and sending thank you emails and creating draft replies, we need to make sure that your contact form is public on your website. To do that, it's very simple. We go up here to the form and click Share. And it's not a bad idea to update the default sizing that they have here, but it's going to depend on your website and your own preferences. And we'll copy embed. Now, I use Squarespace, so I've created this embed block. I'll put the code snippet here. And here's the final form. So obviously, the formatting will need some adjustment. It could definitely stand to be centered on the page, and also the coloring of the page could match a little bit better. But we'll go ahead and send in another test response and make sure that it's all working as it should. Now, when we go back to the Zap, we can check the Zap runs. Then we can see that the test submission went through successfully. So we have the new inquiry. It reformatted my name if needed. So first and last name and email. Then it checked for spam, came out false. It checked for any email misspellings. Okay, no misspellings there. Then it checked to see if the contact was already in our database by the email. And it was found. So Zap data was found was true. Then we added the message. So we added the new message to the old message. So you can see there's a timestamp there. So that's the new message. And then this was the previous message that we sent in the previous test. All right, so because it was not found as spam, it went down this path. Because the submission included employment for reason for contacting, the output here for the lookup table was "we love working with amazing people," and that gets added to the thank you email. Then we link that thread to the contact record, and it writes a draft. So thank you for your interest in working with Automate My Co. Currently, I don't have specific information regarding available positions. Could you please provide details about the type of role you're interested in? This will help me assist you better. I look forward to your reply. So that's a decent start. Again, we want to make sure that in your FAQ document and in the prompt that we're customizing to your own business. So we can add details about the business, about the hiring practices, really anything that we may need to write the best response possible. But for this example, I'll give this a passing grade. That we're creating a draft reply in Gmail and sending an internal notification. Let's look at that in practice. So this is the email that was sent internally. All right, this would link to the contact record and directly to the email to reply. And awesome. Hi, Alex. Thank you for your interest in working with Automate My Co. Currently, I don't have specific information regarding available positions. All right, so you could update the formatting. It would be a good idea to update that in the Zap. Again, it's the AI's step is going to take a little bit of fine tuning to make sure that the formatting is standard and giving you the best response possible. But we can go ahead and send that if it looks good. There you have it. We created a full smart system for handling contact form inquiries. It filters for spam, adds contacts to a central database, sends an automated thank you email, and creates a draft reply in your voice. Final steps. If you'd like, fill out the form below this video, and I'll send you a free PDF guide covering everything that we did in this video, as well as the AI prompts that I recommend for each of those AI steps. Plus, if you prefer, I'll personally set up this system in your own Zapier account for free. No charge, no strings attached. In the same form, just specify that you want to set up a free strategy call, and we can talk about how to best customize this system for your own business needs. Regardless, I hope this guide was a big help to you and that you can start taking your contact form to the next level. Thank you again for watching, and happy automating.